Hi, Lorraine. I'm fine, thank you.
Today we're going to talk about some money idioms. Can you summarize what an idiom is exactly?
So idioms, they kind of like collocations, which has some figurative meaning.
Lovely. So what's the difference between literal and figurative meaning?
It means that idioms have some meaning which is kind of not obvious when you hear it. It doesn't mean what we exactly say in word by word.
You take a literal phrase like fell through or to fall through.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, that means to fall through something. But if you use the phrasal verb fall through or fell through, that relates to plans which didn't happen. Maybe they were cancelled at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So today we'll be working through one of the lessons in Thomas's English idioms course. As you can see, we've got lots of different kinds of idioms, and today we'll be looking at money idioms. So money idioms refer to all kinds of things. Sometimes the idiom contains a word which relates to money or currency. Sometimes an idiom doesn't have a word like that in it, but it is about money, and we use it to talk about finances or earning, things like that. So today we'll have a little bit of both.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay, so let's take a look at an example. People think running a cafe is easy money. And what do you think the general meaning of that phrase is? People think running a cafe is easy money.
It's not hard working. It's not a business which includes like hard working.
So rags to riches, have you heard this one before?
No.
It's really common when you're thinking about celebrities, people like actors and maybe YouTubers as well. So what does that look like to you? Rags, what are rags and what are riches?
So rags, is it something like on the floor, the piece of material which we use on the floor?
Yeah, not necessarily on the floor, but yes, a piece of material, a torn shirt or an old cloth, something like that. And riches.
Rich people.
Riches is a very old word that we use to talk about wealth. Okay, so we would say rich as an adjective to describe people with a lot of money. We would say wealthy to say that as well. So riches is a very old word that describes wealth, and it's used as a plural noun. We don't say a rich. We would use it as riches. But like I say, it's an archaic meaning, so we don't really tend to use it that much anymore. But because idioms are so old, in many cases, they're the only places where many words still exist or are still used in common language. Okay, so this phrase is used to describe someone who was once poor and has now become rich. Would you like to read that paragraph for me, please, Olga?
Oh, yes, of course. Some of you may be familiar with this phrase if you're familiar with the story of G.K. Rowling. Ms. Rowling was on welfare whilst trying to raise her daughter, battle mental illness, and work a full-time job. She has described herself as a nearly living on the street because she had such little money. She, however, managed to write the famous Harry Potter series, thereby making her a millionaire. Her story, in the media especially, has been referred to as a rags to riches story, meaning she has gone from poverty to being wealthy.
Lovely. Okay, a couple of corrections for pronunciation. JK.
JK.
Lovely. And when you said living, I want you to make the vowel sound really short. So it's not leaving, it's living.
Living.
Lovely. Great. Let's take a look at another common idiom here. We've got the devil to pay. This can be an idiom that you use to describe all kinds of things in life, from death, work, relationships, anything really. So the specific idiom, the devil to pay, means there will be severe consequences. Okay, so if you put it into the context given here, you better finish your homework or there will be the devil to pay. This means you will finish your homework or the consequences will be dire.
So what does it mean, severe consequences?
Something bad will happen, you'll be in big trouble.
I can think of a phrase like "it worth any penny." Is it an idiom or no?
Great question, Olga. Well, the test to see if something is idiomatic or not, i.e. figurative, is to think, are there pennies involved? Are there physical pennies in that context? Well, no.
No.
We use that phrase, it's a fixed phrase, to talk about all kinds of things that are really valuable to us anyway. We see them as valuable. So yes, that's an idiom. If you're not sure, do that little test. Are there really those things involved? No? Okay, it must be figurative.
Yeah, thank you. Useful advice.
The next idiom we'll have a look at is very, very common. Money doesn't grow on trees. Have you heard this before?
I don't think so. Yeah, but I think we have something similar in my language.
So what does that mean to you immediately? What would you assume that means?
I would say that this idiom means that you have to work hard in order to earn money, that it doesn't come easily.
Great, wonderful.
I think that parents, for example, can tell their children that they can't afford something expensive, and they would say that money doesn't grow on trees in order to prove that they're not going to buy something.
To give the child a sense of the value of money.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. This is a good example of how idioms are quite fixed as well. We can't say, for example, money doesn't grow on bushes or plants or flowers. We have to say trees. And that's one of the reasons why idioms can be quite difficult to remember, because you've got to remember exactly the right one. And also, money doesn't grow on a tree. That would be wrong. So it must be trees plural. Okay, but you can use it in a variety of verb tenses, like money hasn't ever grown on trees, or money will not grow on trees in the future, for example.
Well, we can.
So you can use the verb, yeah, you can change the verb tense usually, but normally the items within them, so the nouns or the proper nouns or the pronouns should not change generally. So here's an example of an idiom which does not contain words about money, but we use it to talk about money. We say, bring home the bacon. What could that mean? If you don't know already, what could that mean?
To speak about breadwinner in the family. It can be about the person who earns a lot of money and feeds the family.
Great. So yeah, maybe not a lot of money, but the person who earns the most in a household. Yeah, that's the breadwinner. Bringing home the bacon, it refers to providing money to your family. So how could we possibly change this idiom?
Again, on the verb can be changed.
Verb, lovely. Yeah. So different variations could be what? What's the past participle of bring?
Have brought.
Good. So can you put that in a sentence for me?
Maybe we can say that since my husband found another job, he has brought home the bacon.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Olga. I hope you enjoyed today's class.
Yeah, thank you for this interesting material. I think that idioms related to money useful and people use them a lot.
Thanks a lot. Bye. See you next week.